No. You know what I'm going to eat? I'm going to eat some kale.
How's the kale? It's nice.
Oh, shit, tastes good. Tastes like Jurassic Park.
Welcome back to Mythical Kitchen. Today we are joined by the star of Apple TV's The Dink. You might recognize him from New Girl, Jurassic World, Into the Spider-Verse, and he's the host of the We're Here to Help podcast. He once helped us navigate a tremendously difficult holiday gifting situation right here in the Mythical office. Jake Johnson, welcome back to the show, man.
Good to see you, and thank you for being on my podcast. You were hilarious.
I had a wonderful time. I remember I was going through a tremendous sweating problem and I couldn't figure out what was going on. Do you remember me being very sweaty?
I remember you discussing it, but all I can ever think when you're around is, and I said it again today, you're looking good, man.
Come on, he refused to do a push-up challenge. I don't know why I insisted to challenging him on that.
Well, I'll tell you why. What's been happening with me is I tried to get stronger for a while, and I was getting really into doing the creatine, working out a lot, and then I was bulking up. And I was like, you know what, I gotta slim down a little bit. I'm looking a little boxy.
I think you should lean into the boxy, man. I feel like we have so many more actors that are taking on like bodybuilding-esque roles.
I agree.
I feel like you should just fully lean into that.
I want to lean into like the 1900s bodybuilder though, pre any of these shots and injections.
Yeah.
Where James Gandolfini's body type is the goal.
I'm like hurtling towards that so hard. You gotta wear like the tiny little singlet.
Just exactly right. Just strong.
Just strong. For what? Lifting a comical dumbbell with weird proportions.
That's exactly right. For life.
For life.
When I was growing up, some like weird uncles and men in Chicago, and you would have like a guy who I just thought was overweight and out of shape.
Yeah.
Breathy with cigarettes. Be like a 400-pound piano, and this fool would just be like, I'm like, yeah, man, I want that strength.
No more bodybuilding competitions. No. It's like we have a 9th floor walk up with a bunch of oblong furniture.
Yeah.
How quick
Who can you by the way, that would be really fun. Move a futon.
Yeah.
Move a piano upstairs.
Here's a 42-year-old Croatian man. He's gonna do it all by himself.
You go to a bar, some guy smoking, you go, sir, you versus this Hollywood actor with the beautiful.
You can tell by the forearms. You can tell. You can see these guys as they try and grip their pack of cigarettes.
Just tree trunks. I would co-host that with you.
This is legal. We're here. Before we get to that though, we're cooking your career so you can eat your career. How do you feel about that?
Well, when I just heard the title, I thought disgusting.
Horrifying. Yeah.
Last meal sounded better. The idea of eating I'm like, all right, man.
Yeah, we've grabbed a DVD box set up into a smoothie for you. There is one instance in your career where you spent an entire 22-minute episode cooking a food. The sauce.
The sauce.
Simply
That's
the
exactly
sauce.
Right. I remember that.
We are trying to create your sauce, which was a bolognese-based sauce. But do you remember why you thought it was called bolognese?
I don't.
So you started winging bologna into the sauce because, of course, that's where the term bolognese comes from. Ironically, you're not wrong because the term bolognese just means of or relating to the city of Bologna, and that's where this meat is from.
We're eating bologna?
We're eating bologna. Jake, live a little, man. If you want to get that James Gandolfini body type,
yuck.
This is all he did in The Sopranos was just eat mortadella and gabagool out of the fridge. So we're going to take this. We're going to make them
delicious.
And then as Schmidt is reading the ingredients and the sauce, he notices that Jew bread. So we got some Jewish rye. Even though I think he might have been talking about matzah, we're doing Jewish rye. And then a murder of peppercorns. I'm gonna need you to grind up those peppercorns. There's no wrong way to do it.
Okay.
Just really pound away.
What is the best way to do it?
So, Italian grandmas would tell you
yes, please.
That you never bash. You just slowly do this.
Okay.
And if you're wondering why they have those massive forearms,
that's why.
It's just from this. It's very unclear what else is in the sauce, but there's some ingredients that we see on the counter, such as basil. So we're throwing in a ton of basil into this aioli, and this is gonna hopefully be a really delicious sandwich.
I like. We're turning it into a sandwich.
We're turning the sauce into a sandwich. The other part of the bolognese you said was mayonnaise. Okay. The bologna comes from bologna, and the A's comes from mayonnaise. And so that's how this bolognese is getting turned into a bologna sandwich with mayonnaise.
Very good.
Do you remember saying any of this? Do you remember shooting that?
No. I remember shooting.
You were there.
Yes, I think that was a decade ago, and we did 150 episodes.
Of season 4, episode 17, The Spider Hunt.
Very nice.
What I do remember is
that big disgusting pot.
What are your favorite memories from shooting The New Girls? Is there any like single episode that really stands out?
Honestly, the memories I have from that one are more the people. Not for Zoe, but for the rest of us. It was the first gig that started to hit a little bit. And so we got to go through all that together. It was also such a different time. It was pre-YouTube and the pre-streamers. And we had so many great like guest stars, like Rob Reiner comes to mind. And being able to talk to him about when he was on television and how it was changing. Yeah. And his thing was how different it was while we were doing New Girl, about how not everybody's watching at the same time, and how back in the day, everybody at the same time at whatever night that show aired, everybody was watching. It's just so different.
Yeah.
We were part of TV the way I loved TV when I was a kid, and I'm happy I experienced that, but TV's different now. All those people, we were all part of the old world together, and then transition to this new one together is fun, but those guys will always feel like my family in this business.
Yeah, and now everyone's a podcast host.
We're here to help you. Wherever you can find it. Yeah. You can get it on YouTube. You can get it on Hulu.
Is New Girl like maybe this is crazy? Is it the last great sitcom? Like the last great network sitcom? How many?
No, Brooklyn Nine-Nine also hit.
Yeah, you're totally
Abbott,
right.
Elementary hit.
Abbott to me felt almost anachronistic in that way though, where I was like, oh, we can still do this.
Totally agree. Yeah, we'll see. What are you putting on that? What are those?
Chips. So chips are, so these are sun-dried tomatoes.
Okay.
Do you mess with sun-dried tomatoes?
Yeah, they look like weird dates.
They're kind of like weird dates. They're just like kind of you dry a date, get all the moisture out of it, you're drying the tomatoes. We got this sandwich, man. The sandwich with all the flavors of the sauce. You do insist that you throw chips and mustard inside the sauce. So we're using at least like 8 ingredients.
Okay. Yeah, it's really nice. I would say what connects me to New Girl on that is the idea of chips in a sandwich to me personally, because that show to me, I was so new to the game, learned so much. It was the first job where we were really allowed to improvise. And so we pulled so much from our I'd spent from the time I was 17 to that show on comedy stages 2 to 3 nights a week. Finding where audiences laugh, and on that show you have to pull so much of that experience. And so chips on a sandwich was something that I've been doing since I was a kid, so that does feel to me like the other jobs I do, I'm not pulling anything from past experience. You're reacting to the thing, but New Girl was so deep for us and so many episodes where you're like, look, we gotta find something, and so you kept going back to your bag of tricks.
That was so tremendously thoughtful about looking at a sandwich with chips in it.
I think that's the premise.
You're nailing it, man.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can do it to all of them, but the chips did get me.
You're going to have to do it to all of them. Yeah, you paid
all right,
yourself.
1 of 1.
1 of 1.
Let's see if I can get 3 out of 5. I feel good.
Hell yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
You ready? Jake, here we have The New Girl, Season 4, Episode 17, The Sauce-Inspired Sandwich.
Okay.
Dig in. I realized we didn't put a single piece of peppercorn, let alone a murder of peppercorn. And these are so not even close to ground. I think if I hold out your sandwich.
I got bored.
I'm good.
I was like, am I doing this shit for 20 minutes?
Dude wouldn't last a day. Man, you're lucky comedy worked out.
Let's
Cheers.
See. Cheers.
As this initially entered my mouth hole, all I can think of is this is a perfect food. It's nostalgic. The chips in the sandwich. I love not toasted bread.
Me too.
Soft. Let all that quality mortadella come through. By no means is it healthy, but it tastes just fresh enough with the basil.
I totally agree. I think it's a great sandwich.
Hell yeah, man.
I think what's happened since the pandemic, and a lot of shows about cooking, is they have non-chefs becoming experts based on just what they like to eat.
Yeah.
And I think it's crazy. Where they'll go like, I get a taste of tanginess. It's like, who cares? If you haven't worked in a kitchen and know how to do it, you're just talking about what you're tasting. It's the same thing with sports.
Yeah.
I'll be watching it and I'll watch a receiver do a cut and I'm like, cut on the 8! Yeah. Jackass!
That's different because I would have put my foot in the ground and I would have set him up with the jab step.
That quarterback missed the read. I played Madden once. It's insane. But this does taste delicious.
You ready to go on to the next dish?
Yeah.
Let's do it. Jake, would you mind massaging this kale for me? So if you just get
First
some
time
lemon
I've
juice.
ever heard off camera you said, do you want to make the salad? I said yes. Now you said massage.
You know, like if you want, like $20, you can kind of like test the waters with $5. You're worried about shutting down the conversation.
All right.
So you just massage
I'll massage
that.
some kale.
So get some lemon in there and get a little bit of avocado oil.
Let me ask you a question as a chef.
Please.
Some salt first. What are your thoughts and process of doing this? Because I'm a man who makes some salad at home. I got avocado oil. I got lemons. What's the secret?
Sounds a little braggadocious there. You got avocados and lemons?
I got this fucking slice of weird pie.
Yeah. You got a hard pie? You got the hard salt pie?
I got hard, disgusting pie that was left out.
Well, hot damn, man. So, you really got it all.
So what I'll do with this at home is I'll put some avocado oil and then I'll bake it.
Oh,
crispy kale.
Well, this is a very specific kale. In Italian, it's called lacinato or cavolo nero, which means black cabbage. We would call it, wait for this one, I kind of want it dramatic.
Okay.
Dinosaur kale. Oh, Jurassic World story.
Well done.
Shoot.
Well done.
God damn, we're good.
So why is this just because it's big?
It's kind of like big and just like really rough and gravelly. So the reason you would massage this, do you put the lemon on it?
Not yet.
Squeeze a whole lot of lemon in there. I was squeeze it. If you squeeze it flesh side up, then the seeds don't fall right in there. Yeah, there it is, and then the seeds stay in it.
Oh, that's cool.
Perfect. So the salt, the oil, and the lemon, when you really massage it, it's like a really rough dinosaur kale. It kind of resembles dinosaur skin, and so when you massage it in there, it'll actually like break down the cell walls and tenderize it. Acid breaks down the cell walls. Salt gets inside there. Oil,
Cut that
nice.
out. No, I'm going to say the same thing.
Perfect. Go ahead.
What you want to do with dinosaur kale is you want to do a weird claw thing with the lemon.
Mm-hmm.
You go like this, then it goes on, and then you want to massage it because it breaks it up. What were you saying?
That lemon looked pre-squeezed there, Shake. Not a single drop
Cut
came
that out.
We'll do it in post. We'll just get like a nice big waterfall.
A really beautiful one.
Yeah.
What do you think about doing
Just be a woman's painted veil.
Avocado oil early or later? Does that get pre-massaged?
Well, as the chef, what do you think?
Well, I would say before massage, you always put oil on.
That's my only thought process. I'm dead serious. Scientifically, I don't think it does anything except for making it slide around better, but that's what you do.
It helps the massage.
It helps the massage. I'm not going to tell you what the sauce is for yet, but we're going to make a delicious green sauce right here.
I'm going to go crazy with salt for no reason.
Jurassic World, this is something that I didn't realize until we were literally deciding what movies in projects to do for you. Is it Colin Trevorrow?
Yes.
Colin Trevorrow directed Safety Not Guaranteed.
That's exactly
So
right.
are you not massaging with your hands?
I will get there.
Okay, perfect. Toss it
I got a weird process.
Those movies were only like 3 years apart. Is that the reason that you got the role in Jurassic World? Was just your connection?
So Colin's an old friend, and he and I kind of came up at the same exact time. We both moved to LA around the same time. He knew another mutual friend named Clay Allen, and we were all building this thing together. And it started, Colin had a movie where he was doing, it was like a kung fu movie. And then from that, he got some traction. He did a pilot, and I remember visiting that pilot. It was an indie pilot, and I'd never seen a set professional one, and I remember being like, Colin's for real.
Okay.
And then he came to me with the script for Safety Not Guaranteed. I met Aubrey Plaza during that, and we were packaging it together, fell for her, and then we were looking for the guy to play the third, and it was gonna be Andy Samberg at one point, it was gonna be Bill Hader at one point, and then everyone kept falling off, and then Duplass came in, and as soon as Duplass came in, it was a go, because he's also a producer. Made that.
He felt so right for that genre at the time. Like people were using the term like mumblecore and that kind of.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't really think Safety Guaranteed is part of it, but it was close to it.
Yeah,
Lynn Shelton played a part in it. That whole world was how we shot up in Seattle. And then that movie did well for Colin, and it was because the ending of that movie, spoiler, but you've had 15 years or whatever it was.
If not now, when?
But the end of that movie ended as a downer. And it was really indie, and it was more serious, and it was a little bit sad. And in post, I got a call from Colin saying, I'm gonna do something crazy, but I'm gonna make it work. And it's gonna be a big ending. And instinctually, I was like, man, go for it, but I don't know how that's gonna play. And at Sundance, it got like a huge applause.
That's awesome.
And so Colin then, also in terms of certain shots, there was a shot with Aubrey looking at the thing go. He was personally holding a fan so her hair would go back. And I remember being like, oh, Colin wants to make a big Spielberg type movie. I was thinking we were making just a little indie, but I was like, oh, he's doing that. So when he then got Jurassic, I was like, of course. And he called me up, told me about the part. Lowry was at first supposed to be alone. And I was like, I'm not good at the exposition stuff of this part. If you give me someone to act opposite, we can create a whole different tone of the movie.
Yeah.
And we'll just have our dynamic. And then he and the writer Derek came up with the Lauren Lapkus part, built all that in. And he said, we're going to shoot this differently than the rest of the movie. So this will feel like its own thing. But the real fun of that was before action on each take, he would say like, say whatever you want. So it'd be a whole scene about like how many bodies the dinosaurs killed. And I'd go like, then action, I'd be like, well, I never viewed him as a dad, but Carl was there when I was 9. And I was like, well, I guess, he is my dad. He basically raised, and then somebody would come and be like, there's been 4 dinosaurs in this game. And that for he and I was a huge joke of like, and then Colin would always say, it's really funny to think of this being translated into all these different languages. These like stupid lines of Lowry.
Slovenian voice actor.
I was like hitting on a girl, trying to be like opening up, talking about the dumbest stuff. But that was the real fun of that one for me.
Did that feel like the first like big Hollywood blockbuster type moment for you?
Yeah.
So I remember seeing you on like the press tour for that.
Yeah.
And for me, Safety Not Guaranteed, and even like New Girl, those were not to age anyone here, but you were just talking about how your bones are brittle and they're dislocating all the time trying to hit a ball. But that was like for me in college, and that felt like a formative time in my life where I was like, this is like kind of new media. This feels like mine.
I feel totally right.
And then fast forward, I'm like, oh shit, there's Jake Johnson. Bryce Dallas Howard is saying that like that you're her hall pass.
Yeah.
And I was like, I think they might have left set here and got into some trouble in a hotel room. But it felt like
didn't happen. Trying to make news, but
but that felt like a big move. Did you develop a taste for it, or did you have an aversion to it, or neither?
Neither.
Yeah.
For me, it was a huge set and a big production, but Pratt and Bryce were doing all of the blockbuster stuff.
You're just improvising with Lauren Lapkus.
My goal, what I wanted to do in this career, has always been, it was clear before I started.
Yeah.
And big blockbusters and all that was never it. When I got into the game, it was pre like the Marvel explosion. So that was just never the thought process.
I remember when we shot Last Meals here together, you said something to me that like has always really stuck with me in terms of kind of a career and lifestyle North Star, where you're like, I can make $5 million movies with all my favorite people, and I don't have to leave the city that I live in with my family. And it's not like the people making $150 million a year are any happier. It seems so simple.
So those movies expose you to way more people and way more fame. But I realized early on, it's not physically doing anything. Even when I'm like alone before bed, I'm not like, oh yeah, it made 300 million. For a studio.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I want them all to do well.
Sure.
But I'm just as excited if we make a movie for, $1 million and one person loves it as I am for that one, because it's still, to me, it's just one person coming up going, I love Jurassic World, man. And you go, I had a funny one today where painting the exterior of our house, and one of the painters goes, he had seen The Mummy, and he said, a friend of mine said they saw you in it and they couldn't believe that I was working on the house. How's Tom Cruise? And I go, cool. And then they said, he seems like a really bad guy. Is he a bad guy? And the guy goes, he's a nice guy. And I realized, they just believe the movies they see.
Yeah.
They're like, he's a mummy or whatever. They're like, you kill him, he comes back. He's gonna try to kill you. And then the guy was like, I kept saying, you're a nice guy. And I was like, this is amazing.
Incredible.
Whatever it is.
Can dispel the rumors.
It doesn't matter. They're
Perfect.
like,
those dinosaurs are real though?
Those?
Yeah.
In the movie? Yeah.
They're real and they're bad guys? Bad guy dinosaurs?
Yeah, they
I saw them.
You okay, brother?
Like bad guys. A new player has entered the chat over here.
Who's here?
We were inspired by, of course, pterodactyl wings. We thought of the biggest, most prehistoric looking bird. And I said, what if there's a big prehistoric bird that you and I both have a connection to? So these are ostrich wings.
Ew.
Because of the ostrich farm. Yeah. No, so I hear that. Can I have some of your water?
Please.
Thank you. That's my bad. I kind of forgot to get water in there.
Also, ew.
What, ostrich wings?
Yes. Where on the ostrich's body is this? Their legs?
No, so they got like, so if I'm an ostrich, I'm like perched here and they're kind of so the wings are like pinned back. They're covered fur. But when they make it's a sexually threatened gesture that they do, where they kind of straighten up and they crane their neck and they start to, their neck expands and turns red.
So what is this, a sexually threatened?
Yeah, when they're sexually threatened.
They do that?
They do that.
Why?
Ask me how I know.
How?
I sexually threatened a
Is this true?
I'm dead serious. We did a shoot where I wanted to make ostrich egg mayonnaise for a hamburger. So we went to get an ostrich egg, and we were like talking to this ostrich farmer who got sold the ostrich farm in like a kind of like monorail salesman way.
I see in his eyes that he hates me, and that's fine. I don't need to be loved by everyone.
But anyway, so a bit of a jaded ostrich farmer. He's like, yeah, you can just run in and grab that egg yourself. We can get it on camera.
I wouldn't. Those sons of bitches can kick.
Well, yeah, so we knew that, and he told us, he was like, yeah, see this scar? Almost gored me. And I'm like, that's great. And so I'm running in after this ostrich egg, and I grab it, and I run out, and then the male bull ostrich, it's 9 feet tall, and it's the fence is here. And so this thing just starts kicking around the fence, and then it just goes like, and you see its neck inflates like 3 times the size, like a king cobra. And they got it.
Is that, Josh? Is that sexually threatening?
Well, I'll tell you what happened. I'll tell you what happened. I asked this farmer, right, this .com boom ostrich farmer, and I say, what's going on here? Am I in danger? And he just goes, no, he's just feeling sexually threatened.
Oh, like you're gonna try to get one of the
His
ladies.
girls. Yeah. I was establishing dominance by stealing the egg.
Understood. So he thought you were just a new ostrich in town.
And what if I told you I was?
That's
baby?
wild, man.
So we're gonna eat the ostrich's wings as a sort of recompense, but I'm gonna make a green sauce to go along with all the beautiful verdancy of Isla Mujeres.
What did he say is the difference between just pissed off and sexually threatened? Because
that could be honest, Jake, I was trying to get out of there quicker.
But
he was making us feel weird things.
But if it's so, the idea of specifically sexually threatened versus just you're breaking in and stealing their shit, because you could also say the human man goes like this when he's sexually threatening. You go like this.
Wait, no, let's explore that.
I wasn't threatened sexually.
I think Freud and myself would probably argue that that's
that everything is sexually.
Because I think if you were actually like worried, you wouldn't fight someone. You would be like, it's better to just sort of back up,
right?
You know, and the only reason you would fight is coming from some sort of insecurity about your masculinity, which would say that you're sexually threatened.
Or somebody was breaking into your house trying to steal your eggs.
And you're like,
gotta get hey, homeboy, man, I'm an ostrich. This is all I got. Look at my life.
I think you could.
I'm in a box that's caged in. I got that lady and these eggs. Get your big ass out of here.
I bought this 30 years ago. He has a lot of regrets, and I feel his negative
this
energy.
Dude sucks. Get your big ass out of here, man.
Yeah, that's a fair point. You know, I was really trying to get out of there.
Legs.
Oh yeah, so we're cooking the wings. They're pretty small. They're pretty good though. We pressure cooked them and then we char grilled them, and then we're just gonna sort of plate these dinosaur wings on here. Is this reminding you a lot of Jurassic Park?
I'm trying to figure out, I just remembered our other game, the 1 of 1. I don't know how to do this one.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing.
We can get there.
You only said you needed 3 out of 5.
That's true.
So you can sort of just punt on this one if you really wanted to.
You know what I am going to say?
Go ahead.
I think I figured it out on this one. I like what you're doing at the top there.
Yeah, right. Nice little spicy herbaceous sauce.
So this is how I'm going to be able to connect these to that movie in terms of eating my career. Mm-hmm. So when you start a career as an actor, you say yes to everything.
Perfect.
Because you don't know. Uh-huh. You do things, you're like, I don't know. You're so nervous. You're looking at Video Village, you're being like, do you like me? Is it good? You lose all your instincts because you start getting paid.
Yeah.
You start getting the childhood dream. And you're like, oh my God, I'm here. I don't want to f it up. Mm-hmm. Then you start hitting a point where you go, but I also got to remember who I am.
Yeah.
Because I'm only on this rock for so long. So I respect Video Village, but I'm here too. Mm. So Jurassic World was Colin and I talking, and I did say, you're going to want a lot of exposition from Lowry that you're going to need hit precisely and fast.
Yeah.
I'm dyslexic as the day is long. You're asking me to do a whole numbers game, and you're going to want some beautiful shot, and it's going to go like, somebody says something, it gets to me, and I go like, well, there was 70. So I go, give me somebody else to do that, and then they and I, she and I, or he and I, whatever it was, can go back and forth.
Yeah.
And then we could figure it out. So then Colin thought about it and came back and said, I actually love it. So with that in mind, I learned at around that era to start going, I appreciate this, but this is my path. And with that in mind, I ain't trying that ostrich.
Come on, man, come on.
Hell no.
Come on, try one bite.
No.
One bite. What if you watch me bite it first?
I'm gonna watch you bite it.
Okay, perfect. We'll bite the same ostrich wing.
Deal.
We'll kind of
Deal.
wait and trap it.
Let's see what you got.
Just hold it. Just try it on for size. Just hold it, see how it feels in the hand, you know, and then I'll cheers that with you.
Cheers.
And then
I mean, you're not selling it, homeboy.
Up top.
Yes, homie, you didn't sell it. Everything that happened there did not tell me try a bite. And you know I'm right, Josh. You know I'm right.
That was horrifying. I hate that happened. And frankly, can I say, I'm so sad that you had to be here to witness that. That should be in front of all these people. They're paid to be near me. That was disgusting.
That wasn't you. That was the bird, my man. You did, Josh, you did everything right. You did Give me the sounds.
Oh, God.
The sounds.
From what I know
That's just that the sounds. We've all had a chicken wing before. I've never heard that sound before. No.
Ostriches
You know what I'm
have
gonna
to do
eat some kale?
How's the kale? It's nice.
Oh shit, tastes good.
you
Tastes like
go.
Jurassic Park.
That's the clip, baby. Jake, you got 5 guesses to guess which one
Hard.
this is. Yeah, well, do you know what that is?
Some sort of aioli, like a sauce.
Correct. What's that?
Some sort of weird carrier. Looks like it's a Spider-Verse because he loves a hamburger. He loves the burger from the Great Place.
Wait, were you serious that you didn't know which one this was?
I didn't know which one it was.
Oh, I thought you were doing it big. 'Cause
No.
you're like a very funny comedian, and there's a spider web and a red and blue bagel.
But what's the red and blue? Oh, because of Spider-Man colors?
Yeah, man. Spider-Man was
I've been in a lot of fucking
I
projects.
don't fucking know. Yeah, Spider-Man's like a big one.
Last time you gave me an ostrich.
I mean, you were doing, yeah, it's a fair point. Yeah, it's kind of discombobulated.
You gave me an animal
Yeah.
that you couldn't bite through. That scared me.
I guess sometimes I forget that like this is different than going on like a late night show. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Late night show, you know what you know. Yeah, I'll tell a
Yes.
funny anecdote. You've already run that by a producer.
Well, this,
You know,
I
this is
didn't know the
different.
premise that I'm eating my career. So I'm still catching up.
Into the Spider-Verse.
Yes, into this.
You voiced Spider-Man, and also during the pandemic, you set up a line where you would leave people voicemails
Yes.
as Peter Parker.
Yeah.
Was that your decision?
It was. The pandemic started. My daughters were, I think, 5.5, 6, and out of school. And so I don't know how it started, but I thought, because I do the voice and not the face, the voice is Peter B. Parker, but they've never seen my face, which means I could make like a voicemail. I think I was gonna like just put it on my social media for parents to grab. That if you want this, email me to this account.
Yeah.
And I'll make a little voice note on my phone and send it to you. And I thought I was gonna get a few hundred.
Yeah.
And the next day, I'm not kidding, there were about 20,000. And so I started, and I wanted to personalize it to each person's name.
Yeah.
So spent the day just on the voice note doing it, and it was getting overwhelming. So I contacted Jay Gasner, my agent at UTA, and I was like, I've made a little bit of an error. I'm a little underwater, brother. And so he got me in touch with this guy, Eugene at UTA. We created a pretty cool thing where I would do each name. So I'd be like, hey,
fun.
Rose, it's Peter B. Parker. My daughter's in some of them. She's a little 6-year. We called her Spider Rose, where she'd be like, hi.
That's a good impression of your daughter.
And I was like, we're doing this thing. And then they created a thing where if you emailed in your name, they could just connect it to the name in this database.
Oh, man.
So I spent a couple of weeks just doing as many names as I could. And then we sent out, maybe 100,000 of these, 80,000 of these. Yeah, but I couldn't have done it without UTA's help. But I'm so sorry. I didn't know that the fucking spider wagon a weird bagel was that movie. Oh, I guess this is so different than Jimmy Fallon.
It is. I want you, but in a way, you know what? Hey, and I think if we just turn the temperature
Yeah, because
down,
Jimmy Fallon's not doing weird little games on his show.
Okay, he steals them from us. He
It's
steals
all
them.
the
We have a
same.
good relationship, but they know.
Well, because
Big
my
bosses.
podcast, we're here to help. Stavros, Stavi's World believes my partner Gareth stole the idea from Stavi.
Wait, really?
Yeah,
No
because
shit.
it's very similar. But I didn't know of Stavi's World before.
Yeah.
But we had Stavi come on our show, and he's so funny. And before we start recording, he's so nice.
Yeah,
we're all
yeah.
making jokes. And then once we start, he goes like, "You little rat!"
Well, I mean, there's so many podcasts
Agreed.
and everything. Like, this isn't Last Meals, right? It's not the first time that somebody had ever asked that question. But we were like, we're the first ones that seem actually outfitted to like fully cook all of someone's requests. You
Yeah,
asked
totally.
for quote a Coca-Cola, but with
remember
none of the
that.
junk in it.
Yes.
We have the
Yes.
capacity
Which is
to
cool.
create Coke from scratch and an art department to create the label. So we were like, whatever anybody else has done, shout out to Ed Gamble and James Acaster, I love your show. We were like, we can do this different in a way that feels
Right.
totally fine.
Oh, it's, by the way, what is that meat?
Turkey.
Oh, cool.
We knew you're not big on red meat, so
I'll
we
do
were like,
turkey
let's get a
burger for
turkey
sure.
burger in
I
here.
love it.
We got some fries frying off.
I love it.
But yeah, this is based off of one, the scene where you and Miles Morales are escaping the laboratory, and you snag a bagel. So we're making a bagel burger.
Delicious.
To call back to the diner that closed down 6 years ago in Peter B. Parker's universe, but then is open in Miles Morales' universe. So you're really languishing over a burger.
I'll tell you,
multiverse.
Shamik in that part deserves more credit than he's getting.
Yeah.
He is so good as Miles. When you record with Shamik, the whole thing makes sense.
Yeah.
And that doesn't happen on every project where one character, it becomes like the baseline, and once you're with them, you just go around them. But he really did that for Miles, and I really believe he deserves a lot of credit for the success of that franchise.
Yeah. I mean, I remember watching Into the Spider-Verse for the first time and thinking that, like, it was something new.
Yeah.
That, like, oh, this is a thing that, the style of animation that I had grown to know, this was something that blew it
Same way.
so far out of the water,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? It felt like an epochal shift in animation. And then that, leading to other things, not only in that franchise, K-pop Demon Hunters, like completely that style of animation in a way that seems spiritually, I don't know, it felt like a totally new thing.
That's cool.
Do you still get the same gratification from voice acting as you do?
I love voice acting. What I really love about it is you can dim the lights in the room,
Yeah.
and you just have the material and the person you're reading with,
Oh, that's cool.
and so nothing else matters.
Yeah.
So while we're doing this, we're both aware of those cameras and those people here, and you, as an actor, you're always aware of the room.
Yeah.
In voiceover, because you're not even seeing the final product, you're not part of a movie. You're just doing the scene. They're part of the movie. So I actually find it to be some of the most pure acting, where you're just hitting a scene and it's just about trying to nail the emotions or the comedy of the scene. That is unlike if there's a crew and you're making something.
Damn.
So for me, I'm like, I love it.
That's such an interesting term to use of the purest form of acting.
Yeah, for me at least.
When do you feel like, was there a time earlier in your career where you felt like there was a certain purity that you're chasing a little bit? Like
I
from
think
the
it's
early
still there.
improv days?
Yes, I am always chasing it. So,
Yeah.
and it started early in the improv days, 100%, where every once in a while you're in a scene with somebody and you're just in it and everything fades away. And it is just you and that person locked into this thing.
Yeah.
And you're totally out of your head. You've 100% dissociated. You 100% feel what the character's supposed to be feeling. And they call cut and you get a little bit like, no, I'm cool. I didn't overly believe. I'm back to being snarky. But there is a period where you get to believe in that magic and feel it. And it doesn't happen on every job. It doesn't happen on every scene, but there are moments. And when those moments, that's the drug. Where you're like, oh, I'll go do this job in hopes that that happens once in a 12-hour day.
What actor have you felt give you that feeling the strongest?
So many. So Tatiana Maslany, recent. So strongest is hard because I've been doing this for a while, but recently, she's so good in Maximum Pleasure Guaranteed and so unpredictable.
Yeah.
So when I literally did a whole thing where it's a custody battle, and I finished that and felt anger towards her, like actual resentment, and thought like she's a bad mom. For the Dink, Aaron Chen is so funny in that.
I was so stoked to see him in the
Yes,
Dink,
he's
man.
a killer.
Legend, yeah.
But we would be doing scenes, and because I'm just trying to keep up with his logic and his improv sometimes, I would be totally gone from the movie set and just going like, the is he gonna say next? So there's always, there's always a job where, at least for me recently, Dakota Fanning in the Swanberg movie, we would get in little grooves. In the Sunset PI one, I loved working with Jane Levy. We were doing certain scenes where you're like, oh, I'm so excited to chase that again. Yeah. So each job, it does feel like there's roads.
I felt that feeling once for 10 seconds. I got bullied into doing an improv show.
Okay.
We had a wonderful improviser named Vic Michaelis on Last Meals. Vic bullied me into doing an improv show with Lisa Gilroy.
She's so funny.
This was Oscar Montoya, Demi Ojuebe.
Oh, killers.
Angela Giarratana, A Murderer's Row.
So you're safe, by the way.
100%. Yeah. Someone was like, you're playing basketball with the dream team.
Just relax.
Throw
exactly right. Just relax.
But there was one moment where they were there are 5 people out there and they're all the Beatles. And I just had this idea of just what if they weren't the Beatles? I come out there and I just pull a plug and I just go goddamn holograms are malfunctioning again. And I just felt this like kind of rush of like, oh, you've started something, and then Vic just lights up. Vic runs in there, and then we just end up like over literally like 30 seconds creating the scene in which like Vic and I were like a married couple who moved to Naples, Florida and started this hologram company that we took from state fair to state fair because I have seasonal affective disorder. And this universe created in 10 seconds with 3 lines. And I was just like,
real.
It was real. And then like, you know, one of the Beatles was like, oh, I've shit myself.
Yeah.
And then we're back in
So there was a thing that we heard, my brother and I, my brother's to me, still the funniest guy I've ever met, best friend, everything. When we were growing up outside Chicago, Second City was the thing. And back then, Del Close was the genius of Second City. And we had heard this thing, and it was our thing growing up that we believed to be real. And that is, he did an improv show with a bunch of people, and he said, set it in the kitchen. They do a whole hour in front of the, like a pack theater of students. They never talked about the kitchen or what it looked like, but they really committed to the reality of this scene in the kitchen. Then they asked the people, what color were the cabinets in the background? And something like 80% said light yellow. And so whatever that is what I love about the game, because they were yellow, they just didn't exist. But that thing got so real that everybody believed it to be real. They laughed when they were supposed to laugh. The rhythm was right. The cabinets were yellow. The walls were white. And you don't have to have it for people to see it. Yeah. And that dissociation into creating another reality is the drug for me. Man. And so the rest of it are, you know, I view projects like chapters in a book where they'll be like, yeah, that was a great period with great people. But what I'm going after is these little, like, fun little moments.
Man, let me check on that burger. We're making food. Oh, I put fries in the fryer. And this is just like late night. I put fries in the fryer. You know how they do.
Fallon copy this shit.
We got our sizzling hamburger. We do have.
That looks way more Spider-Man.
Yeah. We should have showed you that. This is our house-made Spider-Man rainbow bagel. We're pretty proud of this.
Looks good.
We're gonna do a little bit of chipotle aioli on there. Trying to really play with those lighter turkey burger flavors. Talking earlier about like the sitcoms and everything kind of transforming. This is just like Food Network, like, you know,
totally.
15. And then even Food Network was super new, and all the people who watch PBS cooking shows are pissed off that Food Network was, you know, different than that. Everything just morphs and changes over time, you know what I mean?
What do you know in history in terms of turkey burgers or hamburgers?
Turkeys are also indigenous to America.
Okay.
So like in Mexican food, like they were using a lot of like turkey meat instead of, you know, they didn't have pork and cow.
Right.
Benjamin Franklin wanted to make the turkey the national bird of the U.S. and people were like, have you seen a turkey, man? Come on, the eagle. It's like,
yeah, totally. That would have been so different.
But turkey is like
turkey was our bird.
Well, Canada's the goose, you know, and that's why we don't take them seriously. God bless them. But yeah, so turkeys are like purely indigenous to America. But I'm curious about the rise in ground turkey as it relates to the low-fat movement, because that's why I grew up eating ground turkey.
Right.
Put that right on top.
Yes.
Nice big old slice of beefsteak tomato. Crown that. Of course, we got to put it on the web plate. Put some fries.
You ever considered doing like a little pop-up?
That'd be cool. I would really like to do that. You want to finance it?
Maybe, actually. I'll finance it with you.
Yeah? We'll go in.
Because this would be successful.
It'd be fun, right? Wait, can you talk to the people at, is it Sony?
Yes.
Can you talk to the people at Sony about getting the rights?
You can. Give me a break. Sony's going to be fine. A weird-looking bagel with a turkey on it, they're not going to go, wait a second, we own that.
That's potential for billions.
Yeah, you're going to be fine.
Fair point. What do you think?
I think it looks delicious.
You think you're going to go 3 for 3?
Oh, the connection shits.
Uh-oh. Okay. Bring those improv skills back, baby.
I'm not on this one. Actually, I can go 3 for 3 on this one. I love aioli on a burger. I love the way this looks. When I was offered Spider-Man from Chris Lord, it was the easiest yes for me because it was them. It was an IP I thought was cool, and it was voiceover. This is the easiest yes for me to eat this one. Of all fries too, from like this is the one for me. I'm like 100. I know I'm gonna like it as soon as I saw that.
I do like half credit, maybe.
That's a
Is it
full
like a half?
3?
Is that a half? You think it's a full 3?
I want a real vote.
3. It's,
Don't listen to me or Josh.
Easy yes to Spider-Man. Easy yes to a hamburger.
Yes.
We got
Yes.
one director.
Real vote. I'm not sensitive.
Yeah.
Is that it's a
Chris.
okay?
Yeah, thank you, Chris.
Okay.
We got the 7.5.
I'll take 7.5. Exactly
yeah.
right.
That's better for the betting market too.
That's delicious.
Oh, really nice. Are you getting that nostalgic flashback when you go, oh my God, that reminds me of the suit that I wore, the spider suit for the movie when you were doing voiceover recording?
It does.
Yeah, so I'm getting that too.
So let's hear as a chef break this down.
To me, bagels are much better as a standalone dish as opposed to a bun for a sandwich. Even like going to New York, I don't like a bacon, egg, and cheese on a bagel. I like that on a Kaiser roll. To me, bagel, it should be like schmear and lox. So for me, this is a little bit obstructive. I think this would be a lot better on something like a Kaiser roll.
Okay.
But I love the turkey burger.
And is that just
juicy.
texture-wise?
Yeah, it's texture. It's the way that like the teeth sink through the bagel, because bagels are by definition kind of hard.
Yeah.
You boil them, you put maltose syrup in there to kind of make it a little extra tough.
Right.
That's the point of a bagel. But it kind of takes away from the actual meat of the burger. I do love though thinly sliced onion, tomato, avocado, chipotle aioli. Turkey doesn't have as strong a flavor as beef, so you can kind of play with it a little bit more.
Totally agree.
It doesn't even need cheese. I love that, but to me the burger, the bun would have been.
I'm gonna agree with you. You throw some of that Jewish rye? That would have been shocking.
Shit, man. Jake, what we have here is truly one of the world's great products. This is jamón de bellota from the Iberian Peninsula. It's made, of course, with the pata negra. It's been cured for just over a year. They're fed a diet exclusively of acorns, which makes their fat monounsaturated. Has the same profile as olive oil.
Wonderful. I got a feeling this is about drunk history.
You son of a bitch. God damn it, he's good. God, what gave it away?
I just have a feeling.
That's the feeling.
It's just
Well,
looks like a
explain to me-
duel is
explain to
gonna
me.
happen.
Explain to me why you think this is drug history. What do these all
They
symbolize?
battle each other.
I got the guns.
They got
Aaron
the
Burr.
guns.
You were Aaron Burr.
I was Aaron Burr.
You were
yeah.
the bad guy.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was Mike Sarah. It was Mike Sarah and I. It was Derek Waters, the brilliant Derek Waters, the great Jeremy Connor who directed it. And it was early YouTube. I think it was one of the first big YouTube things that exploded. And I remember Derek posted it, and overnight it felt like there was 1 million views, and we were all freaking out.
Do you remember getting asked to do drunk history? Like, do you remember Derek reaching out and being like, "Hey, I got this idea"?
Yeah, so that started one night. Derek and I hung out one-on-one at my place in Silver Lake and got drunk, just throwing back alcohol. And then I told him a story about the night Otis Redding died, that my friend Bill Bungroth told me growing up that I just believed to be fact. It's probably a 3-minute story, and I think I took 45 minutes telling it. And I'm not going to do it now, but I was doing everybody's voices. The moment got on top of me, but it happened. His vision during that was, this is really funny, and he pictured Otis Redding sitting next to me, and whenever I lied and the alcohol started talking, he would imagine Otis Redding being like to camera, to Derek, being like, that didn't happen.
Yeah.
That's false. And so the next day he called me up and he said, can we come over, get drunk again, and have Jeremy film you telling that? And then I want to get a bunch of actors to reenact it. And I was a commercial actor at the time. And I just got into the union, and I go, I can't get drunk on camera. I'm a professional commercial actor. So I passed. Our other buddy Mark said yes. They recorded him, and then Mike, Sarah, and I both agreed to be in it. So we just went in some backyard, and Derek bought all the costumes, shot it thinking nothing of it.
Yeah.
And then it exploded online.
Another thing that felt like it was its own genre.
It
Like,
was
that
just
has
I
influenced.
totally agree. So many, I still see it all the time.
Yeah.
I'll watch stuff where it's that same voiceover that then cuts back.
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, it's now just a style.
Yeah. Even like we have like a kind of show that we just call Meals of History, where we have an improv actor like dress up as a historical figure, and I'm the one that knows all of the history.
you're
I'm cooking
saying
it.
it, yeah.
Yeah, and then they're just acting completely,
Totally.
inaccurate. It's like
and you're just cutting for laughs.
Yeah. An interesting thing about, growing up with such a big cadre, ultra talented comedians is like, it always takes the right sort of stroke of luck
Totally.
for someone
And
to pop up.
timing.
Yeah.
And having 1 million failures and never stopping.
100%. Is there anybody from, back in your improv days growing up that you're just like, this was the most talented person that I performed with, regardless of what their career is, but
Yes.
just raw talent?
My brother Dan.
Yeah. Wait, does he act as well, or?
He did when he was young. When I was 14 one day, he did like a bunch of mysterious older brother stuff, which was cool. where I was a freshman and he was a senior, and one day he's like, hey man, want to go to the city with me? And I was like, yeah, I do. And we drove to some improv theater right near Second City, some hole in the wall place. We walk in and the professional comedians saw him and they were like, Dan, what are you doing here? And he's like, I'm with my brother. I had never known he had taken a class.
Get the hell out of here.
I swear on my life. So I was like, how do they know him? And they said, you want to jump up? He got up and crushed. I didn't even know what improv was. And I was like, what is this? And he goes, oh, I take classes. And so that was the beginning of like, whoa, you're my like bits partner?
Yeah.
And so forever, like when I just did the Alaska movie, he comes, does bits with it. Everybody gets to know him. He always crushes, but he's not interested in this job. He's a lobbyist in Chicago. So in Springfield, so he's got his own thing, but hands down, when he's in his groove, nobody's funnier. The difference is most professionals can find a groove even when there isn't one.
Yeah.
And my brother, if it's not there, he'll be like,
I'm gonna go back to my professional lobbying
Don't
job.
care.
Yeah.
But if my brother gets in his groove, I don't think anybody's funnier.
All right, we gotta initiate the duel. Jake, in your gun, you have hot sauce to glaze the beer braised Brussels sprouts.
Great.
And I have balsamic vinegar to glaze the bourbon braised Verdicu. There's so many words in this. Bourbon, beer, drunk history, dueling, bitter. You get the
Perfect.
point.
Beer and bourbon gets us to drunk history.
Light them up. Oh, hell yeah. Wait, why don't more restaurants do that?
Your honest thoughts.
The beer braised on the Brussels sprouts,
Okay.
performative. Don't need
Really?
it.
Tell me why.
Beer. Brussels sprouts are already bitter enough. There's not a lot of alchemy in cooking, right? I remember the first time I tried to make like IPA chili because I thought it would be super cool when I was in college.
Yes.
Drank the IPA, I was like, this is bitter as all hell. Well, I poured it into the chili. Surely it's gonna taste like something else. And then I tasted the chili and I was like, no, this sucks. It tastes like IPA. Right? Beer can be delicious in something like a chili or like a Guinness stew or something like that.
Something like, what do you think of like a beer chicken?
Terrible.
Terrible.
It's actually bad.
Why?
Have you ever had a beer can chicken up the butt?
Yeah, I've done that once.
If you do that next to just like a chicken that was cooked nice on a grill, the chicken that's cooked nice on a grill is gonna be way better.
Right.
The beer in the chicken butt actually prevents it from cooking because the beer holds chicken, the breast, the correct temperature is like 165 degrees.
Okay.
The whole thing with beer can chicken is people say it steams from the inside and keeps it moist.
Right.
Water doesn't boil until 212 degrees.
Right.
What the hell are we talking about here? You know what I mean? So there's no point to it. But it's a fun little term, beer braised.
Totally.
The radicchio, that's awesome. Sweet, acidic, balsamic. The bourbon actually works with it. The little saltiness from the ham. I'm a big fan of that.
Yeah.
Now, can you go 4 for 4?
No. I'm gonna take my loss here.
That's totally fine.
I'm gonna take my loss.
These are called kitchen sink cookies. Okay. Kitchen sink cookie is where you just take anything. We did pretzels and peanuts and potato
Chop suey
chips.
sink.
100%.
Oh.
100%. There's a sport in which the kitchen sink.
Dink.
Then the dink and check this out.
Now we're talking.
Pickle flavored potato chips.
Delicious.
That we're gonna roll it in just to finish it. So this is your pickleball
I love it.
kitchen sink cookie ice cream sandwich.
Love this.
But check this out. Check this out.
Ooh, look at you.
Come on, Jake. Where
Look at you.
Are you gonna get this on Fallon? No way, man. Well, probably because he's watching. We know Jimmy's watching. Don't steal this. This is
This
all I
could
have.
happen.
He has so much. He has so much.
So much
It's richer
money.
than God.
Richer than God.
I drive a Nissan. See this watch?
Yes.
Found these on the floor at a concert.
I
These
get
I didn't
it.
even buy these.
Let this man live.
Come on. That's what I'm saying.
Question to you about the kitchen sink idea.
Yeah,
We will
please.
get into dink. Is that thing true about chop suey? From your knowledge, that how chop suey started was in a Chinese restaurant in San Francisco. All the restaurant ran out of food, and there was a bunch of servicemen in there. And the guy said, just went in his back fridge, grabbed whatever he had, put it into a soup. Everybody liked it. They came back and said, can we get what we had last night? And he made up chop suey.
I can't imagine that's true. I actually don't know though.
Okay.
I don't know a lot about.
Because that's
the
another
origins of
drunk
that.
history thing.
Oh,
I have
really?
heard that, and I've told that, but I've never double checked it. So you don't know, because that's what I've always heard that to be is how
Yeah.
chop suey started. That's how Chinese food got huge in San Francisco.
Interesting. I know. I mean, the reason Chinese food got huge in San Francisco is because there were like a bunch of Chinese people.
Well, how it got
that were
huge
working.
with white people.
Yeah. No,
How it transferred over.
I don't know the origins of chop suey. I know that people in different regions use the term chop suey to mean different things.
Right.
So if you are, I think in the Northeast, in like New England, you call something chop suey that is just macaroni noodles, beef, and tomatoes. In the same way that you might call it like, some people call it like American goulash.
Interesting. It's
Some
just
people
like-
call
I
it
gotcha.
chili mac, Johnny Marzetti,
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
And so chop suey is this like weirdly vague term. I don't even know if there's like a canon of what chop suey actually is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So when the Dink came to me, Sean Clements, the writer, pitched me an idea. He said, do you care about pickleball? I said, no. He goes, do you care about tennis? I said, no. But I find him to be one of the funniest guys I've ever met. And he goes, what are you looking to do? And I said, I think our country is going to be in a weird spot. This was about 2 years ago. I want to make something that's easy and fun and joyful. And my thought was kind of like Yacht Rock if it was like a movie of like just feel good.
Yeah.
Light, funny, good bits,
Yeah.
good performances, nice, simple arc story with a big third act that like peaks. And he pitched this idea, and because it's based off his real life. He started playing pickleball after he got a tennis injury, and he played with a bunch of older women. And he was so egotistical that he was going to kill them that at first he was being like really gentle.
Yeah.
And then these older ladies killed him, but not only that, they talk shit to him. And I thought that was such a funny thing. And he goes, but it's actually real in the pickleball community because it's easy to start, but it's hard to get really good.
Yeah.
So when you're starting, it could be a 70-year-old woman who's kicking your ass.
Yeah.
And it's the first time she's winning like this, and these women are getting nasty about it. And when he pitched me that, I was like, all right, I want to do it. But the way I can connect to this is even if this was poorly made, it's going to be good.
Yeah.
It's going to be delicious, and we're going to like it. The premise of this movie and the fun of it, the lightness of it, even if you pretend not to like it and you're mad at pickleball, if you watch the movie, you're going to like it. It's easy listening in a way that I find really enjoyable, that I find the same as about an ice cream sandwich.
I'll give you 1.25 on that. I'll
take
make
it,
up
I'll
for
take it.
the lost 0.25.
Hey, I just
That was
needed
brilliant.
about 0.25 on it. We're good, but I'll take the win.
Jake, please have a bite. Cheers to the Dink, man.
Cheers,
I'm
buddy.
so stoked to watch it.
It's a great one.
Architecturally, I might switch to open face. I think I've started to get TMJ. That's one of my old aging things.
Yeah. So it just hurt to open too much?
Are you getting any pickle flavor?
Maybe.
I think maybe it's about as much as you want with ice cream,
Gross.
right? Because we did put pickle flavored chips in here, just as an homage to try and really make you eat your
You
career.
ruined it for me.
Because God damn it, we always do this.
Pickles!
We make friends on the show, and then we come
I
here.
had f***ing cookies and ice
We
cream!
make our, and we but you we tried to
You
feed
give me a
them.
f***ing ostrich!
Monsters because we thought we could relive that guy Chris. Remember Chris?
Some disgusting ham slice!
I think the ham slice was good. I like the ham slice. I like
The pickles!
Remember the ostrich wings guy, Chris?
Yes.
He moved to Massachusetts. Came back here one day. Didn't tell anybody that he was coming back. And literally, he just like an angel. He just walked through our door.
What a play.
And he just came in, and I was like, "Oh my God!" And we reminisced, and then poof, he disappeared back to Massachusetts. But he
Sweet
walked
guy.
in. He walked back into my life, which means he walked back into our lives for one day, one glorious day.
Sweet guy. Check him out on We're Here to Help.
Check him out. We're here to help. And that's the podcast that you host now. We're here to
Yes,
help.
with you.
But is it available wherever you can get podcasts?
Wherever you can get podcasts.
Wherever you get podcasts. Well, that's incredible.
Well, really, what I'm asking people to do is check out The Dink, July 24th. I love the movie. Imagine this, but not with disgusting pickle sauce. Because that was a sneak.
Yeah.
So it's delicious ice cream or frozen yogurt, cookies with M&Ms.
Yeah.
But we don't put pickle juice in it.
So I guess it's like that was the high floor, right?
Yes.
Until the pickles. Yeah,
Yes.
the pickles.
Well, at that point, I was
Pickles
like, we're
the scene
just
that
going
you
up.
cut. Yeah,
we're
that's the
going
scene that
up.
you cut. Yeah. Well,
By the way, the pickles are when your director's cuts 2 hours and you make it down to an hour 30.
Yeah.
30 minutes gotta go.
that was all pickles. The pickles are out, and all the pickles have been cut. And now the movie's just a perfectly delicious
Now
ice
it's
cream
perfect.
sandwich. Dude, Jake, thank you so much for eating your career. We're just gonna have that as like an all in case because we don't know how it's gonna perform yet. Because again, we've never done this before. Truly, man. Thank you for
always
being
fun.
awesome. Come back on the show, man. We'll embarrass Steve.
Oh, yes, for sure. Let's do
We'll
that.
embarrass me on the pickleball court.
I love it.
I'm gonna go play pickleball on this podcast. We'll see how it goes.
Follow us at Mythical Kitchen for more from the kitchen throughout your day.